What's up, guys? User friendly here. I had somebody ask me about my macros today, and I figured I'd go through and I want to just make a video about um, basically what Beast Mastery is up to in this tier. The first thing is it's not as good as Marksmanship. Um, if you look at the breakdowns um, of Mythic rating guilds, um, Marksmanship's better. You look at some fights. These are some of my logs. This is a heroic huntsman. This is me. I have an orange parse, great for my eye level, but one item level behind me doing comparable DPS, and they're only at 66%. Um, and you see that across the board. Here's the same thing. Me and another hunter, close eye level, close DPS, but the potential for marksmanship is so much higher. You see it all across the board. Here's another one of our hunters, probably the best one. I mean, he's 8 item levels behind me and doing really well for his item level, but the potential, for all the marksmanship hunters is really low. Um, so, you know, same thing here. 1.3 million DPS versus 1.22, and he's 39%. So the marksmanship hunters can do more damage. I don't like marksmanship. Um, I've done some fights as marksmanship, and it wasn't awful, but I don't like the rotation as much. Um, Same thing here. One of the biggest problems with parses is the fact that there's more beast mastery, or there's more marksmanship hunters. 654 parses for that item level block versus 366 for mine. And I mean, total parses is 1,500 versus 2,200. I mean, we're talking 10, 12, 15 times more. Um, so, more people are playing marksmanship because the damage potential is there. Um, I'm not going to say that Beast Mastery is easier. I don't think that Beast Mastery is easier. I think it's a different rotation. I think it's sometimes it could be a more obvious rotation, since keeping your frenzy stacks up, kill command on cooldown, making sure that you dump. If you're using Scent of Blood, making sure that you are dumping your barb shots before you cast Bestial Wrath, making sure that you're only casting Cobra Shot when it's necessary. There's a point in the rotation where you have enough focus to cast a Cobra Shot, but not enough focus to cast or kill commands on cooldown, but it's 3-4 seconds off of cooldown. You could cast a Cobra Shot, but you shouldn't. You should wait until kill command comes off of cooldown and use it then. Another thing is the fact that Soulforge Embers is difficult to use. Honestly, I think that's one of the biggest problems with the spec, because Soulforge Embers sims better than everything. It's like 8% above the next one. So, versus the Marksmanship Legendary, who... see, that was a mess up in the rotation. The Marksmanship Legendary is set it and forget it. It's 100% passive. So, I don't know. I like Soulforge Embers. I like the rotation. So it's definitely the spec for me. Some of the changes. Beastmastery lost a lot of power with Azerite changes because we no longer have the effect. Crit no longer has the effect that it did before. With the loss of not feeding frenzy. I forget what it was called. The Azerite power that made it so that every time you crit, or you had a chance equal to your crit chance for barb shot to proc that stupid agility buff that you could keep up almost all the time. Crit doesn't do that anymore. All it does is crit, and it does make a difference as far as one with the pack, but we can't, it's not a viable ability right now, unfortunately, because crit isn't as important as it was before. BFA, we were firing off barb shots like they were going out of style, and now we're back to having to hold them. And it makes a big difference in the rotation. It makes a big difference in potential DPS, unfortunately. But it still has a potential there. What else did I write down here? Also, the difference in the rotation, it is a lot more obvious when you drop the rotation in Beast Mastery, because you lose your Frenzy stacks, you're losing a huge chunk of DPS. Marksmanship is different. It's more of a... It's a misuse. It's very easy to lose priority in the Marksmanship rotation, since it works around, using your aim shots and making sure you have enough focus to use your aim shots, and using your precise shot procs when it comes to that. It's a weird spec in the sense that in True Shot there's times where you don't use a proc, which is a really odd rotation. Very few people have any spec where you're wasting procs, because procs are traditionally, invaluable. So, like I said, it's not for me. But more power to you. If you love it, get out there and use it. If you don't, then do some of the stuff that I do. Weak auras, macros. I had a person ask me about my macros, so I'll show you guys what I use. General macros. Let's see, what's mine? This is a general tar trap flare macro that I was trying out, but it won't work. You have to have a cast sequence, because you'll just get stuck in tar trap on this one. So honestly, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. This is my focused misdirect macro. I switch between regular multi-shot, a focus misdirect macro, and a pet misdirect macro. It's basically the same. Show tooltip multicast. It targets your focus, casts misdirect, targets your last target, and then casts multi-shot. You have to set your focus. I use this for doing Mythic Plus, so I'll just set the tank as a focus, or in Raid, set the tank as a focus, and anytime that we're doing trash and I throw off a multi-shot, it will misdirect the tank if it's off of cooldown. It's really great for Mythic Plus. If you want to be more specific about it, you can have it on a control modifier, so that you can cast your regular multi-shot and cast misdirect when you want to. I just swap it out. 7 is my button for whatever I'm using. If I'm somewhere with my pet, I normally just use pet misdirect. If I'm going to Mythic Plus, I'll swap it to my focus misdirect. This is my tar trap macro, my Soulforge Embers macro. It's cast sequence at cursor. The reset is 23 seconds. And it basically casts tar trap, flare. So when I hit it, it throws the tar trap, and then it's right here. It switches to flare. You throw the flare, and it's waiting to cast another flare, because you can get 2 flares into the same tar trap. After 23 seconds, it will reset. So 23 seconds after you cast the second flare, or after you cast flare in general, it will revert back to tar trap. So 20 seconds on flare, 2, 3, and then it resets back to that. So I have a 3-second window to cast another flare into my first tar trap. So you can mess with that. Honestly, I think in a perfect world, the best thing to do would be just have them on different at cursor hotkeys so that you could cast tar trap and cast flare and use weak auras to keep up with them, because this isn't the most efficient way to do it. There's a gap where, sometimes I have to wait to cast a new tar trap. But you also have to pay attention to what you're going to cast. There have been a lot of times where in the last second before the reset happens, I'll throw a flare into nothingness, and then it flips back to tar trap. So I have tar trap on available and flare on cooldown, which is obviously a waste of a whole Soulforge Embers. It's a waste of a flare cycle, so you don't want to do it. Right now I have an unused trinket, and I have it macroed into my barb shot. It's used 14. All this jargon, the casting abilities and whatnot, something that you can get off of Icy Veins. You should macro it into all your main damage abilities, just because it sends your pet to attack and it forces them to use their abilities, which are on a weird delay. From what I understand, I don't know the logistics of it 100%, but yeah, forcing them to cast is the best way to do it, and you generally want to do it on most global cooldowns. So barb shot, kill command, having a kill command, barb shot, and cobra shot. I have a modified use of my bestial wrath. One of them I just have general bestial wrath by itself. The other one I have a cooldown. This one will pop Aspect of the Wild and bestial wrath. So on pull, I'll do that. The reason that I have another macro in there for it is because Aspect of the Wild is off the global cooldown. So if you want to if you cast them together, you're wasting one global cooldown of Bestial Wrath or of Aspect of the Wild on nothing. So if you go to attack something, you cast Bestial Wrath, and then right before you hit your attack, you hit your macro again, and it will pop Aspect of the Wild. So you get more. You get one more global cooldown use out of Aspect of the Wild. It's very micromanaging, but it's just something that I do. So those are all my macros. I don't think I use a whole lot of other of these. Those are all the main ones that I use. I have a Master's Call macro. It targets myself, casts Master's Call, and targets the last target. I have it down here on my bar for when I have a pet that has Master's Call. Not super useful. It was great in Mythic, whatever the first fight was in the Nyalotha or whatever we were in, where you needed to clear your debuffs. So those are the macros. Nothing too fancy. I have a turtle and cancel turtle. I don't really use it all that often, to be honest. I click cheetah. I know, kill me. I click turtle most of the time too. Soul shape I have on a hotkey. I click frost trap. Don't judge me. There's a fancy macro that is a script command for opening the Great Vault anywhere that I use. That's always fun. Weak auras. My weak auras are crazy. I have a bouncing barb shot macro that shows me when barb shots at 2 stacks. I have a beast cleave duration reminder, because you don't want to be overlapping multi-shots. Multi-shot does absolutely 0 damage, but you do want to keep Beast Cleave up when you have 2 or more targets. So generally every third cast should be multi-shot during your rotation. I have a Beak Core down here to tell me that a Gift of the Titans. I don't need that one anymore. All right, load never. Bring them down here to show my another Gift of the Titans. It shows I have a trinket on at the moment that is a buff, Flayed Wing Toxin, and it pops up down there. I never set the icon, but it shows you when your Flayed Wing Toxin isn't up. Thrill of the Hunt. This measures my Thrill of the Hunt, and this measures my Frenzy. Both the pictures show up when the things work. So yeah, some of these I don't even know what they do, to be honest. So Dance to Death. Oh yeah, Dance to Death. That's the the Azurite trait that we don't need anymore, because it doesn't work. But I just have a macro to show me when Aspect of the Wild is available, one to show me when Kill Shot's available, one to show me when Bloodshed is available when I'm using it, another one down here to show me when Trap is available. And that's it. Most people hate my weak auras with a passion because they're very loud and whatnot, but it is what it is. I also have my cloak macroed. A rule that I'm violating right now. Something that I think helps me with my damage. You want to try to make sure that you are dropping your Soulforge Embers. Do your best to make it basically replace Cobra shots. I try to throw Trap and Flare on the pole, because the first thing you're doing when you're Beast Mastery is you're opening up with 2 barb shots, because you want to be able to cast Bestial Wrath, and that's going to regenerate both of your charges. So my opener, I cast Barb Shot twice. I'll throw a Trap. I'll flare it. Then I will Bestial Wrath. Then I'll drop Wild Spirits. And then I will go into the regular rotation. That way, at least for that first Wild Spirits, you're not having to cast Flare. You're not having to cast Tar Trap, because casting Flare and casting Tar Trap, neither of them trigger a Wild Spirits tick. So you don't want to do it unless you have to. Soulforge Embers is fantastic, but you don't want to be using it during Wild Spirits if you can avoid it. I'll show you guys a little example of my opener once Wild Spirits comes off of cooldown. Another something, Mythic Plus, you kind of want to make sure that this works out of Mythic Plus as well, but your target capped on Soulforge Embers as well. So you want to make sure that everything that's in your Soulforge Embers is theoretically going to be alive for as long as possible. In some pulls, like Turn a Sict, Miss the Turn a Sict, there's some pulls at the end where there's a bunch of little ads. You want to make sure that the little ads don't take your ticks of Soulforge Embers. So if you can delay it 3-4 seconds until those ads are dead, it's going to be, it's going to benefit you. So here we'll do a little opener here. I do Barb Shot. I do Barb Shot. I throw a Trap. Throw that. Then I'll Bestial Wrath. Then I'll Wild Spirits. And you're right at the point where your Frenzy's getting ready to fall off. But you can make it generally so that all of your cooldowns, or all of your globals during Wild Spirits, are action attack abilities that will trigger Wild Spirits. So yeah, so that's it, guys. That's what I do. As you can see, I am pretty decent. If you go back to my homepage, one of these, my actual character profile. I'll bring it up here real quick. My character is Petrina on Zul'jin. We're two in mythic. We're two into mythic. We're doing heroic. We have decent numbers all the way across, and on normal it's even funnier. So, I mean, 38, 29, 24. And like I said, that's all about. It's honestly all about frenzy uptime. It's funny because if you read in Icy Veins, it says, "Oh, frenzy uptime isn't that important," but honestly, it is. There's no real excuse to let it drop, and if you let it drop, with the exception of, having it drop right when Barb Shot comes off of cooldown, and that Barb Shot is going to refresh the cooldown of Bestial Wrath so that you can, get back up to 3 stacks within 2 or 3 globals. It's going to hurt you. If you delay your Barb Shots enough, you can have enough without procs to get around to Bestial Wrath being off of cooldown. So you have to get out of the mindset, the BFA mindset of firing off Barb Shots whenever you can, because that's what we were used to in BFA. It was better to fire off a Barb Shot because you had a 60% chance to crit and a 40% chance of having a crit refresh a stack or give you a Barb Shot. So it was basically statistically impossible to not get a proc during the amount of time that it took for Bestial Wrath to come off of cooldown. But now it very much is possible for that to not happen. So wasting a Barb Shot and having your frenzy stacks fall because of it it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna be the end of the world, but it's gonna hurt. So yeah, that's what I do. It works pretty well. If you guys got any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. You can PM me, put it in the comments. I'll do what I can. But thanks for watching, guys.